My name is Hazel Anderson. I am turning 30. Currently, I live with my husband Philip, who is 5 years older than me, and our 5-year-old son Raul. We are a family of 3. Today, I am attending a friend's wedding ceremony with my husband. Though I call them friends, they are closer to my husband than to me, and I only know them by face. The ceremony is held in a first-class hotel, and I find myself captivated by its luxury. While my husband exchanged greetings with acquaintances at the venue, I went to the restroom for a bit. Coming out of the restroom and heading back to the ceremony, I heard an unpleasant voice. "Oh, look at that defective item. Why are you here?" "Huh. Mom, what do you mean by that?" "Oh, it's true. Why is there a defective item here? We didn't invite them, did we?" I feel as if disdainful words are being exchanged around me. And they seem to be talking loudly on purpose. This is not just gossip, it is overtly offensive. However, no one addressed me directly. I don't want to associate with such rude people, so I quickly left the area. "Wait, you ugly thing. You can hear me, can't you?" I felt someone call out from behind, but I ignored it. My name is not you ugly thing. As I walked firmly down the corridor, the sound of hurried footsteps behind me startled me. They should have given up since I was ignoring them. Why would they embarrass themselves with such behavior? While I was pondering this, someone suddenly grabbed my arm. It appears that they had run after me. The grip on my arm was so tight that it was painful. "So, wait a minute, I'm telling you." I stared back at the woman who was shouting breathlessly and shook off her arm. She seemed not to expect such a reaction and staggered back with an exaggerated outcry. I felt that her frail behavior was pointless. "Julia, are you okay? Why are you being so violent?" Ignorance really is a problem. Another woman rushed over, supporting her while giving me a stern look. What's going on? Who might you be?" "Huh? Who might I be? Have you forgotten about me?" "Yes, it seems you are very self-centered and rude. Have we met before?" As I asked this, she raised her eyebrows in astonishment. "Huh? What are you talking about? Do you think you have the right to act like this? You, with just a high school diploma? If you say you've forgotten, I'll refresh your memory. I'm your sister, Julia. Hearing the name must jog your unfortunate mind. Right? And this is our mother. Can you really say you've forgotten your own mother?" Yes, maybe there was someone by that name around me in the past. I shook my head slightly. It's a waste of time to engage in serious dialogue with these people. Dissatisfied with my response, the 2 women showed even more anger. At that moment, 2 men hurried over. "What's going on here? We could hear voices all the way over here. Julia, are you done preparing? Oh, you're still in your regular clothes. You better hurry and change. Dad, Daniel. This suspicious person has sneaked into our wedding. Please kick her out immediately." The woman claiming to be Julia pointed at me while shouting. Weren't they taught that it's not nice to point at people? The reactions of the 2 men who saw me were completely different. The man called Dad widened his eyes, and then clearly showed a displeased expression. The man known as Daniel froze with a look of shock, and his face gradually paled. What's going on? Why is Hazel here? To see her face on such a happy day. Exactly. She must have slipped in by mistake. It's unbearable. Hey, call the security, quickly. Wait a minute, what are you saying? Be careful with your words. This person is. While the man called Dad agreed with Julia, Daniel spoke up with a pale face. Seeing this, I muttered quietly, You really know nothing. My remark went unnoticed by those around me. Hazel, there you were. I've been looking for you. A new person appeared. It was my husband, Philip. All eyes turned to Philip, who seemed slightly surprised. Sorry, I was on my way back, but got tangled up with some strange people. I said this with a wry smile and moved closer to Philip. Philip looked around and murmured briefly, "Ah." He seemed to grasp the situation immediately. His insight was indeed remarkable. Julia had been captivated by the sudden appearance of Philip, but when I stood next to him, her expression changed drastically, and she glared at me sharply. The two so-called parents still did not fully understand the situation and showed confused expressions. Daniel was visibly flustered. He was the first to speak. Mr. Anderson. I apologize. My wife said something inappropriate. I really am sorry to your wife too. Come on, Julia, apologize too. Why should I apologize? They are the ones who should be apologizing. Julia pointed at me again as she spoke. This disrespectful person intruded on our important wedding. I don't know how this happened, but this woman is a disgrace to our family. We should have cut ties with her long ago and never met again. Wait. Family? Hearing these words, he looked surprised and glanced back and forth between me and Julia. Just then, the two called Dad and Mom intervened. "Oh dear, Daniel, I'm truly sorry. We have a problematic eldest daughter. She's such an embarrassing subject that it's awkward even to mention her, and we've managed to hide this fact until now. In truth, we kicked her out of the house 9 years ago. How did she even find out about Julia's wedding? What does she intend to do by coming here uninvited? Surely she isn't planning to ruin the wedding, is she? Actually, Daniel, this girl is stupid. She only graduated high school and couldn't attend university. After graduating, she just loitered around doing part-time jobs, staying at home, and being a real nuisance. She was like a parasite. She should be grateful we provided for her through high school. Why did she sneak into the wedding? I had received such harsh treatment. Yet, I had long severed ties with this family and effortlessly brushed off all their insults. These people were, in fact, my family. At least, that's what the family registry stated. However, my parents doted on my sister, who is 6 years younger than me, and had neglected me from the time I began to develop my own identity. My father's family has been producing doctors for generations, and our home was a clinic. My mother worked as a nurse in the family-run clinic. To an outsider, our family might have appeared to live without any want. However, the reality was a home filled with toxicity. I remember trying hard to earn my parents' love when I was young, but I gave up all expectations from my family because the reason for favoring my sister was incomprehensible to me. She was deemed attractive, and I was not. Fortunately, although it might sound odd to evaluate myself, I was intelligent and excelled academically. Therefore, I focused on my studies with the goal of leaving home early. During that time, I felt like I was acting the role of the defective elder sister in the family. Listen, I won't allow you to go to university. You are inherently a defect. There's no way you could get into university. Start working immediately after high school graduation, become independent, and contribute financially to the house. It's thanks to us that someone as unattractive as you could grow up at all. You owe us a debt of gratitude. That's right. You never seem grateful. As for college expenses, we might consider it for Julia, but there's not a single cent available for you. You will spend your life serving us. Even if you do get a job, it won't be anything significant. This is what my parents told me during my senior year of high school. By the way, this conversation was recorded at the time and has been preserved to this day. During my high school years, I recorded almost all of the verbal abuse and irrational behavior from my family. My sister Julia, seeing the consistent behavior of our parents, also scorned me and always tried to assert her dominance. I will become a doctor and take over Dad's job in the future. I'll work hard enough for the both of us, since my big sister can't. Oh, that's so nice to hear. Yes, learn from her failures and do your best. Don't worry, Julia, you can do it. Yes, we will support you fully. Unlike your sister, Julia, you are truly our pride. They would have these kinds of conversations blatantly in front of me. It was like something out of a play. After graduating high school, I worked various part-time jobs for about 3 years. I still lived at home, technically. They said I was a nuisance, but they wouldn't allow me to leave on my own terms because they wanted to use me as it suited them. However, I had secretly rented an apartment. Although my family continuously told me, "We won't forgive you if you do this. We won't allow you if you don't do that after becoming an adult," I realized I didn't need their permission anymore. Of course, there were complications like needing a guarantor for certain things. By the way, I intentionally reported less income from my part-time jobs, so the amount of money demanded by my family was minimal. Additionally, I began investing and gradually increased my savings. When Julia was preparing for her high school entrance exams, she used the convenient excuse that she couldn't concentrate with me around, and I was kicked out of the house. My parents seemed to assume I would eventually return, but for me it was a perfect opportunity to become independent. It must have been a surprise for them that I, who was belittled as incapable of doing anything on my own, didn't return. However, that soon became irrelevant to them. As far as my parents were concerned, having Julia was enough. 9 years have passed since then. While lost in thought alone, I overheard an escalating argument between Julia and a man named Daniel. In fact, today was their wedding day. So, they are now married. Though my sister's name might have been on the invitation, I took it as a mere coincidence and didn't give it much thought. My interest in this family had already faded. Why are you taking her side? I've been saying all along that she's suspicious. Just her being here spoils the mood. Kick her out quickly. Look, I've told you several times I invited these people to the wedding. You checked the invitations with me, right? They've already checked in. They're official guests. So apologize for what you said earlier. Daniel pleaded. It's worrying that such arguments are happening just before the wedding. At that moment, my father suddenly said with a surprised look, "Wait, isn't he the son of the head of Anderson General Hospital?" My mother also expressed surprise. Anderson General Hospital, the famous one? The son of the head doctor. My sister's husband, Julia, echoed their surprise. Amid these stares, Philip introduced himself. "Nice to meet you. I'm Philip Anderson. This is my wife, Hazel," and greeted them with a smile. Philip's parents are distinguished doctors who have managed a hospital for many years. Philip himself is being groomed as the talented heir apparent and is passionately studying medicine. Hearing this, my parents' eyes widened in amazement. Suddenly, my sister's husband intervened. "It's unbelievable, but to think that the wife of Dr. Anderson is my wife's sister. Can such a coincidence even be possible? That means we are relatives now?" he said, unable to hide his surprise. "Dr. Wells, I apologize for any trouble my son may have caused in the past," I continued, cutting off his remarks. "My sister's husband, Daniel Wells, is a doctor and works at a university hospital. I had just taken my son to him recently because he was feeling unwell. But that's the extent of our connection. Philip has had professional ties with doctors, and it seems that Wells respects Philip greatly. How's Raul feeling now? From what I diagnosed, he should start receiving treatment immediately. So I suggest you take him to get tested and hospitalized at my hospital." Daniel kindly made that offer, but I replied, "Actually, we've decided to see another doctor for a second opinion. It's important, you know." He couldn't hide his surprise at my response. It seemed that Daniel was attempting to treat my son as a special case, but I was uncomfortable with the idea of my child being seen as a profitable object. Therefore, I gently declined his offer with a smile. Suddenly, a mocking laugh echoed through the air. "Why are you behaving like that? Are you trying to compensate for being a high school graduate by marrying a doctor? Are you stupid? Marrying the heir of a large hospital doesn't elevate your own worth. Your education remains the same. And your thinking is too shallow. You really have a child? Poor kid, having you for a mother," Julia criticized. "Hey Julia, please stop. We're family. Why do you keep saying such things?" Daniel tried to mediate quickly. However, my sister glared at his words. She seemed unshakable in her righteousness. Suddenly, Philip spoke to me. "Hazel, are they really your family?" he asked doubtfully. "No, these people can no longer be called family. A real family wouldn't suddenly scold you for no reason, refuse to feed you just because you spilled a little food, would give me secondhand clothes found in a dumpster while laughing as they compare them to the high-end brands they give to my sister. They wouldn't throw away my study materials claiming you're too stupid to need them, or soak my textbooks with water to make them unusable. So, no. They are not my family anymore. True, a real family wouldn't strip you naked in the winter cold for not lending a book to your sister, or lock you in a hot shed in the summer. They wouldn't silently sell your belongings or tell you directly that you're expected to labor for a lifetime. People in our town have noticed the clinic's unfair treatment of the siblings, suspecting abuse, and they don't want to take their children there. It's actually surprising that no one reported it when we were kids. Now, despite their business suffering, they fail to realize that they are the cause of it. This shows just how severe it is. During our calm exchange, when the cruel acts of my past were revealed, Daniel was shocked. My parents were equally stunned to find out I knew their clinic was struggling financially since I had left home. This information was unearthed by my in-laws, who deeply sympathized with the hardships I endured and felt even more outraged than I did. Philip also harbored similar feelings, and they had been investigating my parents' clinic, potentially to use it for revenge. Stop it. Stop lying. We didn't do any of that. It's your fault for being a failure. Daniel, don't believe a word she says, my sister vehemently protested, but it was too late. He looked at her with disdain. I thought to myself that none of this would have happened if she had ignored me and walked away back then. No, but actually, it's you who are lying, Daniel retorted. Me? Lying? About what? She responded in disbelief. That Mrs. Anderson only graduated high school? She holds a college degree, is a successful entrepreneur, and the CEO of a company involved in hospital food, which has been instrumental for our clinic. CEO, my sister exclaimed in shock, staring at me as if seeing something unbelievable. My parents were equally astounded. Stop lying. She's just a high school graduate. Are you saying she went to college behind our backs without us knowing? My mother said that accusingly. Yes, I did go to college. I was already an adult, and I had no obligation to report to strangers who are not my family, I replied. What are you saying? How can you speak to your parents like that? We didn't give you permission to go to college, my father shouted. Why would I need your permission? I calmly countered, and they could not hide their indignation. After high school, I worked various jobs and saved a considerable amount of money. I used part of these funds to pay for college tuition. There was still so much I wanted to learn and pursue. Living away from home, I enjoyed my freedom and was capable of anything. While in college, I started my own business. That's also when I met my current husband. Reflecting on this fills me with deep emotions. Meanwhile, my sister was mumbling something with a pale face. I can't believe it. I always thought she was the incapable and inept sister who couldn't do anything by herself, that she would die somewhere after being expelled. Despite all that, she graduated from college and is now a CEO and married to the heir of a major hospital. Why? I thought I would be the happier one. Why is she more successful than me? Why does she look happy? Why indeed? Maybe it's because despite being treated unfairly by our family, she never gave up and kept working hard. Maybe luck played a small role as well. After saying this, I looked back at my sister firmly. And then I revealed a shocking fact. By the way, I heard you dropped out of middle school. Is that true? This revelation completely shocked everyone around, including my former parents and Daniel. What? What are you suddenly talking about? Who dropped out of middle school? My sister countered, though I admired her bravery in doing so. I heard from a distant relative who has always been kind to us that after I left home, you overestimated your capabilities, thinking you could easily get into any prestigious school without studying. You went into the exam unprepared and ended up writing almost nothing. resulting in the expected failure. After that, you became unruly at home and were in a reclusive state for a long time, right? You only returned to society recently when our parents introduced Daniel as a suitable marriage partner for you, I explained. As I spoke, Daniel's expression grew increasingly stern, while my parents and sister turned pale. The relative who provided this information is a distant cousin of my father, known for his skill in gathering information. Despite having met only a few times during my childhood, he looked after me and even acted as my guarantor. What baseless things are you saying?" my sister protested, trembling, but I continued. "Actually, the claim that you work in medical administration is also false, isn't it? In reality, you don't have the qualifications and you're only handling menial tasks, not entrusted with any specialist duties. It's good that at least the minimum professional ethics are being maintained," I stated. "Stop it. Your words are filled with lies. All of it is false," she cried out. "Maybe so. What I heard was just a rumor after all. Whether you believe it or not is up to you," I responded. At that, my sister suddenly turned to Daniel, studying his expression intently. On his face were doubt, confusion, and clear disdain. "Julia, you previously told us that you graduated from a prestigious women's university, held qualifications, and were supporting your family's hospital. Are you saying all that was a lie? Falsifying academic credentials to deceive people is clearly fraudulent. Have you deceived me?" Daniel asked pointedly. "No, Daniel. Don't just take her word for it. You're my husband, you should trust me," she pleaded. "Then, please name even one professor from the university you claim to have graduated from," he challenged her directly. Clearly flustered, my sister struggled to respond. "That's not relevant right now." "Is it really not? Well, let's call a professor from the department you claim to have attended right now. This professor is also a family friend of our parents and has a very close relationship with our family," Daniel proposed, ready to unravel the truth once and for all. As he declared this, Daniel calmly picked up his smartphone. "Please stop. That's not necessary. Daniel, if you trust me, that's enough." Oops! Suddenly, Julia snatched the smartphone from Daniel's hand and forcefully slammed it onto the floor. "There's no need to check, just believe me." Driven by anger, Julia slammed the phone to the floor and then mercilessly stomped on it multiple times with her high heels, completely destroying it. Her expression at that moment was distorted with rage, resembling the face of a monster. This scene greatly shocked Daniel, and the people around were stunned by her sudden action. My parents tried to calm Julia down, but her anger seemed not easily subdued. The commotion caught the attention of other guests and the venue's staff, who gathered around with concerned looks. The venue momentarily descended into chaos, with a very intense disturbance unfolding. Despite being there, I felt as if it were happening to someone else. I could no longer feel a familial connection with my sister or those present. For me, my family now consists only of my husband and son. "Shall we go home? I think we've done our duty here," I suggested to my husband. Philip looked a bit surprised and asked, "Are we finishing up already, Hazel?" I replied with a calm smile. "It's okay, let's go home. Oh, and let's stop by the cake shop at this hotel on the way back and buy some delicious cake. There's one that's been very popular recently." "Hey, that sounds like a good idea. Let's pick up a cake on the way home." Philip agreed, and we left the venue with a light laugh. Later, I heard that Daniel was involved in a lawsuit for making false diagnoses to patients and charging excessive medical fees. Following this, my former parents, finding themselves in a dire situation, sought my support. However, they did not know my current contact information and ultimately showed up at the hospital where my husband works, wanting to see us. "So, she's the daughter-in-law of the hospital heir. She is our daughter, please let us see her right away. Contacting the son of the hospital director should solve this problem instantly. We are really in trouble. We need her to repay the kindness we raised her with. We are family. So it's only natural to seek help." "That's right. Honestly, I never thought she would be so useful, but it pays to raise them, doesn't it? I never imagined she would find a more suitable partner than Julia. We are now in-laws with the son of the hospital director, so it's natural for us to seek support. They proclaimed this loudly at the reception, causing quite a stir. However, it was not my husband or I who responded, but rather, coincidentally, my parents-in-law. They, with a stern look, firmly asked my parents, "What business do you have with our daughter?" My parents were unsettled by this stern response, literally froze on the spot, and quickly left the scene. They tried to contact us several times afterward, but because they did not focus on resolving their own business issues, their hospital eventually had to close. When I received news of the closure, I felt no particular emotion. Instead, I felt a sense of relief that they had reaped what they sowed. I thought it was one of the most refreshing moments. Later, I heard that Julia and Daniel had gotten divorced. It was astonishing that their marriage had lasted even a few months. The lawsuit Daniel was involved in and his subsequent dismissal from the hospital probably dealt a fatal blow to their relationship. Julia seemed determined to surpass my happiness and find greater joy, but she continued to make poor choices in the process. As her first step, she secretly started having an affair with a much older, married doctor, hoping to find a more advantageous position for herself. However, this affair soon came to light and escalated into a significant issue when the doctor's wife demanded compensation. Desperate, she sought help from her parents to resolve the situation, but they quickly disowned her, labeling her a disgrace to the family. I have no certain information about what happened to her afterward, but she had failed her high school entrance exams and as a result, had lived reclusively at home for a long time. Living a life isolated from society, she unknowingly started working in the night world, facing hardships that eventually led to health issues and ultimately homelessness. Hearing these stories, my interest in her gradually diminished. Meanwhile, as retirement approaches, my former parents struggle to find positions as doctors or nurses, but it seems no hospital will accept them due to their long-standing bad reputation. This is likely a consequence of their ruthless treatment of me in the past. Now, they are no more than people from my past, and I no longer have the capacity to devote time to thinking about them. Regarding my son, fortunately, after examinations at another medical facility, he no longer needs to be hospitalized, and his condition has significantly improved with proper medication. I will continue to do everything I can to protect my family,